Good morning, guys. All right, here is the work solutions to those pretty hard surface area questions from yesterday. So what I'm going to do is, to make this a bit easier to watch, is keep pausing it, do my solutions. So be mindful in the video, it is going to jump at times to certain parts. The first and most important thing, and I stress that you all do this on your working in an exam anytime, is set it out. So you can see here in the red, I have set out my solution already, okay? I know that there's 5 squares and then there's 4 triangles. Now all I need to do is think, okay, well, what are these dimensions, okay? And now that's where I use a bit of my maths. I say, okay, well, I know that dimensions are 5 meters by 5 meters on the square, which means the base of my triangle is 5 meters. It's actually told me the perpendicular height, okay? So what that means is I know from that top and to the middle of that square, that perpendicular height there is 6 meters, okay? Because 6 here, 5 there makes 11 together, okay? So what I need to know is, and this is a tricky thing to understand, and I hope that you do get it, I need to find that hypotenuse of that triangle. Because when I find the hypotenuse of that right angle triangle, that is actually going to find my perpendicular height of my slanted triangles. Okay, I hope that you can see that. And if you don't get that, rewind and listen to that again, okay? So now what I'm going to do is going to say, okay, over here on the side, and show this working, don't skip it. I have 6. I have x where my hypotenuse is, okay, so that's my x. Now, I know that the length of these entire way across is 5, but my bottom of my triangle is from halfway across to the edge, which means that it's going to be 2.5. So now, it's just a matter of doing Pythagoras with that information. And I get an answer doing Pythagoras of 6.5, which gives me my height here. Okay, now I can just jump straight through to my answer. And there I have it, a total surface area of 190. Now if you didn't get it, pause the video. Otherwise I am going to move on. Okay, next one. Straight away, think about painting it. What do I have to paint? I have the entire outside plus the hollow part of that smaller cylinder. So surface area 1 is my big cylinder. Okay, so I do the entire surface area of my big cylinder, but I have to be mindful that I do need to subtract off that circle, the small circle, from my big cylinder, okay, because I'm not painting that part of the cylinder, it's hollow there, okay, which is what my little 2 pi r squared there is, okay, so I subtracted 2 pi r squareds off that, and I got that. Now I'm not finished. My second surface area is my hollow section of the small cylinder, which we know is a formula of just 2 pi RH. Subbing it in, I get that. Now my total surface area, I'm just going to add all of those together. Now you'll notice that I never rounded once, okay, because I was never finished. It's not until now I rounded. Now I didn't tell you guys what to round, which meant you could have chosen what to round to, but as long as you specify what you did round to. And there's my answer. Okay, moving on. Find the height of the cylinder if my surface area is this. What a great question. And if you're not sure about it, what do you start with? Just start with your formula, okay? We know that surface area equals 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi RH. Sub everything you know in. I know 660 is here. 2 pi, my radius is 5. What I don't know and what they want me to find is my height, so I leave it as h, or you could make it x if you wanted to as well. All right, now, the next thing you can think about is, well, this whole number, I could put it in and get a decimal if I wanted to, okay? I could actually, and the better students would notice this, 2 times 5 squared is 25, gives me just 50 pi. And then, so if you didn't do that, 5 squared is 25, times it by 2 gives you 50, and it's timesing with pi. Plusing with 10 pi timesing by h, which is a bit nicer to look at, because now what I look at, I say, okay, hang on, this 50 pi here is a positive number, so I'm going to take it over and I subtract it, and that's left with 10 pi timesing by h. So then the final thing, my 10 pi is timesing, so I'm going to have 660 minus 50 pi all divided by 10 pi. Now if you had them all as decimals, you put them in the calculator, that's perfectly fine also, just be sure not to round. And putting it all in, I got 14.09859 and so on, which to the nearest whole number is 14 meters. What a great question. All right, moving on again. Talking about great questions. This one, what an interesting shape. Now, one thing I know always used to help me is if it didn't give you that background knowledge of what's happening behind the scenes, it's okay to plot them in so that you can understand what is going on behind. So what do I have? Break it down. I have 2 long rectangles, okay? This one, top and bottom. And I know the dimensions are 6 by 20. What else do I have? I have, wow, this is a hard question, isn't it? I have 2 semicircles at the front, okay? Now, what it was 2 squares, right? Because they were actually squares. This at the front here was actually a square. But what happened was they cut out 2 semicircles, which makes, we know, 1 whole circle. So I know that I need to do the square, and this is perfectly fine to write, minus 1 whole circle. And why is it 1 whole circle? Because there's 2 semicircles there. Okay, so I got top, bottom, front and back, and I need to times that by 2, times that one by 2. Then I've just got the 2 inside sections, okay, so that whole curved section. And we know that's just the curved section of the cylinder, okay? And we know that that is just 2 pi RH. And we'd say, okay, half of that because it's half a cylinder. But there's 2 of them, okay, which would make a whole cylinder. Or think of it as, okay, half a cylinder, so half 2 pi RH, the hollow section, but then times that by 2 because there's 2 of them. And your half and your 2 will actually cancel out, which is the same thing as just doing 2 pi RH. Tough question. This is probably as hard as it gets for you guys at this point, so don't stress if you are struggling. Okay, I'm going to break it down. Okay, I'm going to call this one area 1, area 2, and area 3. I'm going to not pause the video, so I could imagine a few people might have struggled with it, so let's have a look. So area 1, base times height, 20 times 6, 120, and multiply that by 2 gives me 240. So there is the top and the bottom rectangles done. All right, area 2. Now this is that square. So the square is base times height, but then I need to minus a pi r squared, and then I need to multiply by 2 because that's the front and the back. So if you're not sure again, I got the entire front, the square there, okay? Then I'm going to subtract off this semicircle, which is a half pi r squared, and this semicircle, another half pi r squared, which makes a whole circle. 2 semicircles make a whole circle. All right, filling it in, I got 6 by 6 minus pi. Now what's my radius? Well, the diameter of these semicircles are 6. So my radius is going to be 3. And of course there's 2 of these shapes, the front of the weird looking shape and the entire backspace. Okay, let's see what I get. 15.45133324. All right, ugly, but we can deal with that. And area 3, we know is just going to be that 2 pi RH, and we already spoke about why that is. 2 times by pi times by my radius of that semicircle was 3 times by the height of this cylinder was 20. Putting all of that in, I get and there I have it. Total surface area, I'm going to just add all of those together. And hopefully I made no errors there. I did do it quite fast, but 632.44 to 2dp. So again, if you didn't get that, now is where you pause the video, you look at all the numbers you got, all the numbers I got, and look at what was different. Okay, we have done one like this before. The idea is, think about, okay, if I was doing the surface area of a cube, okay, forget that it's a backwards question. What would I do? I'd say, okay, it's base times height, and I times that by 6. And now I go, okay, area is base times height, and then I know I have to times that by 6. So I get x by x, because that's my base and my height, times by 6 will give me my total surface area. Now I say, okay, well, that's really simplified, is x times x is x squared, times by 6 gives me 6x squared. Now is where I say, oh, okay, hang on. I know that 384 is equal to 6x squared. And now it's just an equation. I'm going to have 384 over 6 equals x squared. And what's my last step? Square root. Perfect. Okay, so x squared equals 64. Therefore, x equals 8. All right. And final one. This one's probably not too difficult compared to some of those other ones. But let's think about what we have. We have a rectangular prism, okay? Let's deal with that first. Okay, so with the rectangular prism, I've put out my dimensions of what I have. The big thing to remember is that back shape there. There's only one of them, okay? Because the front here isn't going to be painted. All right? And there is my map out for my triangular prism, and now it's just as simple as plugging them all in. Now I've done all my areas. One thing I forgot, I guess, to mention to you to check to is count how many shapes you've done the area of and count how many sides this shape has, okay? So for instance, I've done 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shapes there, and then if you do count all the sides of that shape, there is 9. Okay, and finally my total surface area. And there we have it. Now again, remember, I'm just human. I've done these in the space of 12 minutes, okay? So if I have made a mistake, it's okay. If you can clearly see a small error I have made, that's fine. In fact, if you do find any errors, post it in our Teams, okay? So I've created a Teams account. I'll finish setting it up now, but basically this Teams account is not where I'm going to put work. I'm going to stick to Compass to put work up, but I want this as like a chat, okay? So if you have any questions about maths, or one of you wanted to, point out an error that I made in one of the videos, post it all in that, okay? And I'll be chatting with you guys too. If you have any questions, you don't have to email me now. You can just post it in that, and I'll be looking at that most days, okay? Help each other, answer each other, and I'll also be popping in there.